a horrific situation took place in Baltimore last night. And, you know, I am a fan of Indie News Network. They have this great segment called Boats Crashing Into Stuff. Indy, I know you're watching. I will be surprised and shocked if you guys don't bring it up, or either that, you guys might have to rename your segment "Boats Crashing Into Things," because this right here is by far completely insane. But also, there's some things that are standing out that people have been calling about, especially with this bridge collapse. And there's a lot of speculation here, and obviously, people have gotten hurt. That bridge collapsed like it was a bunch of Legos. So let's go ahead and at least talk about it and pull it up here, because here's a couple of videos. This one right here is probably the most famous right now, as it's gaining a lot of attention on social media. So let's go ahead and pull it up. And we got a couple of videos showing different angles about what's happening. Now, I do want to rewind something here real quick. Notice that a boat, the lights are on. That's one angle. Now, there are numerous agencies talking about this. Let's go ahead and pull up this video here. Apologies for the swearing, because you're going to hear some swear words here.
We're right next to the Key Bridge.
What the fuck?
Like, all them people on the bridge just died, dude.
Oh my god.
The Key Bridge sinking. The bridge is gone. Holy hell.
I'll pull up another angle too. Now, unfortunately, as you could see, that there are vehicles using that bridge and driving across it. Now, right here is something interesting. That's the boat. The lights go out right before it crashes in. Go on again. Off again. On. And then off. And condolences to the families. I want to pull up. This is the aftermath of earlier this morning. Obviously, there is still search and rescue happening. People are still trying to investigate what exactly happened, whether this was technical error or there was an error on the crew's part. Obviously, you know, you have ships going in and out of that lane and using it. But this is a metaphor for overall probably America's infrastructure and how things are collapsing. I want to say things are going to get better, but that's a lie. So I want to pull up this article here from RT, just to trigger the libs. U.S. bridge collapses after being hit by a ship. A 4-lane bridge in the U.S. state of Maryland has collapsed after being hit by a ship. A large section of the 1.6-mile-long Francis Scott Key Bridge fell into the Papsco River. State authorities have confirmed the incident happened at around 1:30 a.m., according to the Associated Press. Clips posted by on X show several sections of the bridge going down, with multiple vehicles cascading some 50 meters into the water. Multiple people were on the bridge when it collapsed. The chief of Baltimore City Fire Department, James Wallace, said during the press conference, 2 people have been rescued from the water so far. One of them refused medical care, while the other is in very serious condition. Wallace said the search continues for upwards of to 7 people. During the same press conference, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott described the collapse as an unthinkable tragedy. The efforts of the authorities are now focused on folks we have to try and find and save, which the water's extremely cold. Time is running out, and it is not looking good, and a full investigation needs to happen. Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley said the collapse is being treated as an accident, stressing that there's absolutely no indication it was intentional. The Maryland Transportation Authority said that all lanes in both directions were closed and traffic is being detoured. Baltimore City Fire Department spokesman Kevin Cartwright confirmed earlier that the bridge had been struck by a large vessel and partially collapsed. That's a full-on collapse there. All right. In a separate comment to the Associated Press, Cartwright described the situation as developing a mass casualty event. He went on to say that it appears that there are some cargo or retainers hanging from the bridge, which complicates the work of rescuers, making them operate more cautiously. This is a dire emergency. The vessel that caused the collapse was a Singapore flagged container ship, Dolly. Its management company, Synergy Marine Group, confirmed the cause of the incident is yet to be determined. The company said, adding that the ship was under control of 2 pilots when it hit one of the pillars of the bridge. There were no injuries on board, with all crew members accounted for. Shipping giant Maersk, which chartered the Dolly, said it was horrified by the incident in Baltimore. Our thoughts are with all those affected, the Danish company stressed. Well, I don't know if we could save everybody right now at this point. Maryland Governor Wes Moore has declared a state of emergency following the collapse of the bridge. We are working with an interagency team to quickly develop federal resources from the Biden administration for the rescue effort, a statement by Moore read. U.S. Here we go, folks. The heavyweight champion himself, the man of the hour, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, said on X that he had spoken to Moore and Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, offering them support of his agency. Well, knowing Pete Buttigieg and what his agency can support, it's going to add to crap. It's not going to do anything. Pete Buttigieg, same guy who's supposed to be in charge of the trains and the planes. You expect anything to be different with the ships and automobiles? No. What do you expect from Pete Buttigieg except him to be on vacation? The White House stated that it's closely monitoring the events in Baltimore and expressed condolences to the families of those missing as a result of the horrific incident. The U.S. Coast Guard is conducting a search for those who remain unaccounted for after the collapse, it said in a statement. Francis Scott Key Bridge was opened in 1977 and it services as the outermost crossing of the Baltimore Harbor. This is America's infrastructure collapsing and falling apart. This is America's infrastructure and systems failing, but this is also a failure of our systems altogether. We are witnessing a full-on collapse of the great republic of ours. And when you have boats like this, especially somehow something happened. And we all know how these corporations act. These corporations cut corners, and we all know that every corporation runs things differently, but we hear the same story over and over again. Workers being burnt out, workers being tired, workers constantly on the clock 24/7. Now, if not that, there's always cutting corners with machinery and products. We saw how the whistleblower, especially for Boeing, brought into awareness just how Boeing was cutting corners. We have seen firsthand the railway system here in this country, how many of our railroads are not being maintained. You got our railroad workers working to the bone, and still it's not enough. And there is a grave concern of overall of when the next train derailment will happen. Never forget what happened to the people of East Palestine, Ohio, and how they were exposed to dangerous chemicals, or the recent railway derailment in Pennsylvania, of all places. So yes, the madness and insanity is real. This collapse of this bridge is clearly a horrific sign. 1977 was that bridge was built. I'm wondering how long will it take to maintain it, to rebuild it. This is the canary in the coal mine. There's a lot to take away from this story. Many of the great things that made this country effective and efficient are failing. And there's no accountability. And I don't expect Pete Buttigieg to do anything different.